I would say the housing market was very overheated for the couple of years after the pandemic as demand increased and rates were low. We all know the stories of how overheated the housing market was, prices going up, many bidders, no conditions, that kind of thing. So the housing market needs to get back into a balance between supply and demand.
That was Fed Chair Jay Powell on the housing market just after he announced another 75 basis point rate hike. Yahoo Finance's Dani Romero joining us now. And Dani, we've been hearing a lot from Jay Powell just in the fact that the housing market is so far out of balance. What exactly does the Fed want to see happen?
Look, the Fed can't force more home builders to build more homes, right? But what the Fed can do is adjust interest rates, which tend to impact the ability and willingness for home builders to build more homes. So essentially, the Fed has more power on the demand side of things than the supply side of things. If anything, the supply side, from what I've been hearing, would need more of the administration's influence to weigh in. That's what experts have been telling me.
And Dani, we know that the Fed is data dependent. So what metric is the Fed considering when then really figuring out this supply and demand balance?
There's not one specific metric that the Fed is looking at, especially when they're assessing the health of the labor market as well as the trends of inflation. But specifically on the housing front, rent data, rent prices, they want those to come down. They want mortgage applications to come down. They want the number of homes being purchased above their asking price to come down to those normal levels.
Yeah, and Dani, when you talk about those normal levels, I think a lot of people are trying to figure out exactly what that looks like. Can you give us an insight, I guess, into what would indicate a healthy housing market?
Yeah, so home prices need to grow at the rate of inflation. So theoretically, everything needs to grow to that 2% rate, over the long term. So essentially, the Fed doesn't want to see that 10% to 20% home price appreciation that they saw during the pandemic. I mean, the Fed yesterday made it pretty clear their goal is to bring down inflation, which we're already seeing it in the housing market.
Certainly are seeing a lot of pain in the housing market. Sounds like there is much more to come. All right, Dani Romero, thanks so much.